let's talk about the Hatch-Waxman Act
Okay.
real quick. Pull that over in your notes over there.
Okay.
The basics.
The Hatch-Waxman Act, officially known as the Drug Price Competition and Patent Term Restoration Act of 1994. Orrin Hatch was one of the original founders, and I can't remember Waxman's first name, so I do apologize to Waxman's family if they're still alive or if he's still alive. They streamlined the process for generic approvals so that generic drug manufacturers could obtain an FDA approval by allowing them to file an abbreviated new drug application, which means they didn't have to do the research and development. All they had to do was come up with a similar drug that relied on the safety and efficacy data submitted by the innovator company, the brand company. It reduced the time and cost associated with bringing generic drugs to market. Remember, generics didn't exist a long, long time ago, guys. If you're a kid in the 70s, do you remember any generics being around?
Very few.
Nope. In the 80s, Hatch-Waxman decided that they were going to help generic drug companies make money or bring stuff to market so that it wasn't only brand after brand after brand, and they could do research and development. It struck a balance between encouraging pharmaceutical innovation and promoting competition among generic drugs. Sorry.
Now, in your opinion, do you think we're following that now? Because
no,
I don't think we are.
I don't think we are. I think they kind of threw that out. But there's also a thing called the biosimilars and biologics, which I'm not familiar with. That's a whole different thing because I never did biosimilar and biological. I only did generics, which are chemical compositions. The biosimilars and the biological drugs. Sorry, I'm standing up, guys. The biological and the biosimilars are a whole different thing. And that's what a lot of this new shit falls into. I don't think anybody should go into mRNA gene editing and stuff like that and package it in a pharmaceutical. It's a little too creepy to me.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Big Pharma has got deep pockets. And I think they paid off a bunch of senators to ignore the Hatch-Waxman Act.
I don't know if it applies though, because I wish I knew if the Hatch-Waxman Act applied to injectables. Because that's a brand. That's not a generic. The Hatch-Waxman Act only applies to generic pharmaceuticals. I don't think they envisioned the vaccines and then what we experienced in 2020. So I don't know if it violated. I know a lot of people are breaking HIPAA right now. And a lot of people just don't care.
I get it. What I'm just saying though is this is yet another goddamn example of laws on the books that are ignored. Yeah. If the laws are being ignored, why don't we just strike them from the record and start over? This is insane.
Why don't we just apply the original laws?
Yeah.
Ooh, pick me.
There you go.
I chat GPT'd it really quick. The Hatch-Waxman Act applies to all small molecule drugs approved under the FDA Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act that includes injectables so long as they are not biologics. Here's the breakdown. Small molecule injectables, complex injectables, biologics are not covered by Hatch-Waxman. They fall under the Biologics Price Competition and Innovation Act, BPCIA of 2009, which created the biosimilar pathway instead. So if the injectable is a chemical drug, Hatch-Waxman applies. If it's a biologic, it does not. The generic uptake, you can see the effect on generics right there. Before Hatch-Waxman and after Hatch-Waxman.
Okay. What does that bar mean? We have before HIV and then today. What is this generic?
Do you know how many antivirals there are? Anti-HIV drugs? Holy shit. Anything.
How many are there?
I don't even know because they keep bringing new ones out. But anything with a VIR is because virus. It's like ritonavir. God. At one point in time, I actually had these things memorized, but I apparently have lost that. I dumped that out of my noggin.
That's fine.
There's at least 20, if not more, and that's just generic. Then there's brand.
if I recall, a lot of those are really harsh on your internal organs.
They are. But then again, HIV and AIDS is bad disease, I guess.
It will kill you, yes.
Yeah, it will. But then again,
Here's the thing. Fauci was in on the original BZT trials in Africa. That was killing people left, right, and center. There are a lot of people who want to see
AZT, not BZT.
BZT.
Yeah, Fauci was actually, I believe, let me double check.
Mm-hmm.
If I am not right, or if I am right, he actually studied AIDS.
I believe he was involved in the whole AIDS thing for like 15 years.
He was a physician, immunologist, expert of allergy and infectious diseases. Hang on, my laptop's being a total shitbag. I wish I had this stuff memorized, but I dumped a lot of this knowledge intentionally.
Don't worry about it. It's all good.
He did stuff. Okay, he developed therapies, allegedly. He developed therapies for fatal diseases, granulomatous. He like really studied a lot of different like allergens and infection, like not infectious disease. He studied rheumatology. Okay. And then in 2020, he's saying my career and identity is defined by HIV. If you're studying rheumatology, what are you talking about HIV for? Those are total different fields. So basically, he's talking out of his ass. He says he's one of the leading researchers during the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s. Well, if you're one of the leading AIDS researchers, then what are you doing? Oh, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think he was a bullshit artist. I think
he really was.
So wait a minute. You're saying the man who lied to the country many times, lied in front of Congress quite a few times, is lying about something else in the past?
Yeah, it's like going to an auto mechanic to get, your washer and dryer changed.
Okay.
They're two totally different specialties.
And some of the other rumors that I've heard in regards to old Ouchie Fauci is he actually stole from other people their ideas and before they were patented.
I wouldn't be
surprised.
I've heard
that too.
Brought them to the market under his name.
So I wouldn't be surprised.
So it's the equivalent of Edison, because Edison did that all the time.
Yeah. Thomas Edison took ideas?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, now you do.
What, did he kick everybody else in the butt for it or something?
I don't know the details off the top of my head. I read the article about a year and a half ago, but Fauci's, in my opinion, is doing along the same lines. In fact, there's a couple people who he actually ruined their goddamn careers in their lives because he was so adamantly, acquiring their knowledge and what have you.
I'm not surprised with a personality like that wants to tell the world what to do. There's probably not much he wouldn't be willing to do. You don't get. I think he was in his glory days when he got to tell everybody all that. And
he very much strikes me as the kid in like junior high and early in high school was stuffed in the locker a lot and was so pathetic that even the theater nerds wouldn't take him.
Hey, I got stuffed in a locker one time.
Yeah, I get it.
How'd that work out for the person who stuffed you in the locker?
Not very well.
That's what I thought.
But I didn't become a megalomaniac or anything.
Yeah. But I mean, this is what we're dealing with here. I mean, these are the people who were running the show for 4 fucking years.
They didn't do a very good job of it, but
Oh, yeah, no, they did. He did a fucking terrible job, especially when they badmouth ivermectin.
You couldn't get ivermectin.
I mean, I did because I got it via the Greenberg.
Pharmacies couldn't get ivermectin. I fielded the most random phone calls you would not believe, but we could not.
But the thing is, ivermectin, the guy who came up with it got a Nobel Peace Prize. It was used for decades. It's got a very, very decent profile without a lot of side effects. If you don't,
it was cleared in the 1960s. It was cleared in like 1961.
So you have decades and decades of use, and all of a sudden, people are like, "Well, ivermectin, has a pretty good effect."
Horse paste,
viral load thing. It's horse paste. It's bad. If you even talked about it on YouBoob, you'd get banned.
I mean,
I got banned from PayPal. So did Blake and his wife, because in 2021 we were talking about how bad the vax was, and I was using studies from 10 years back in regards to what happened after the mRNA was vaccine was tested on animals, and we're seeing it play out here. I mean, the animals, yes, it did work initially for the infections for the animals in the beginning. But a year, 2 years later, when the virus mutates and comes back around, it absolutely decimated the population of the test animals.
When 2020 hit, my company went from being tolerable to being absolutely insane. I will never tell you guys what it was.
It's okay. I get it.
But they wanted us to just shut the fuck up and toe the line with whatever the newest retard thing was. And now, if you know me for 5 minutes, you know I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut. I was ready to punch like things. It took everything away. There was no more joy in it because I can't lie like that. I can't.
I get it. I mean,
even my pharmacist knew. They were just like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." But I couldn't really go into any detail because what am I going to tell them? I'm being forced to lie for a living? No. It was like having a muzzle put on.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was really bad.
That's some bullshit right there.
Let's get back in the saddle again here. Let's talk about unaffordable prescription drugs, the real legacy of the Hatch-Waxman Act. I'll read this article real quick here. This is from 2020. How is it possible that a prescription drug crisis when 90% of prescriptions are filled with generic drugs that cost on average $1 a day? The answer: the remaining 10% of prescriptions have an average cost of $20 per day and account for 80% of all prescription drug spending. High prices for branded medicines are one consequence of the Drug Price Competition and Patent Term Restoration Act of 1984, better known as Hatch-Waxman, the same law that made low-cost generic drugs widely available. To pass that law, Congress yielded to demands from powerful pharma lobby, for longer and stronger monopolies for new drugs and walking the monopoly dog. This payoff to an already high profitable industry has wiped out the savings that the widespread use of generic drugs should have produced. Oh, we've got a paywall on that. What do you think about that, Hun, while I crack this paywall over here?
I think that you just hit the nail on the head on a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Why do you think I went? It's all about the money.
It is.
It is. Yeah. It's obvious. Like, I dread the day I have to go to a hospital because honestly, I didn't like those ideas before, but now knowing now what I know now, and oh God, it's so bad because these are people that you grew up trusting.
Yeah, like my mother. What I mean? My mother, when she first went into the hospital, I think it was the end of 2023. I got a chance to look at the medical bills, and I mean, it was almost $250,000. 2 weeks and some change in the hospital and all this other shit. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I mean, she had some a couple of life insurance policies that had a cash value. They're gone. They had to be surrendered for her to, to get medical care now. I mean,
do you notice something though? And this is going to probably be stating the obvious. The baby boomers were the biggest generation. They had all the insurance policies, all the savings and stuff. When did all this bullshit hit? When those people needed their savings. And now it's being eaten up by medical. That wasn't supposed to be that way.
No.
Before the Hatch-Waxman Act, the Food and Drug Administration's generic drug approval process required independent proof that a new generic drug was safe and effective. The process was so costly that few generic medicines were approved, and most branded medicines enjoyed perpetual monopolies. Since 1970, FDA regulations have included an abbreviated new drug application process for approving generic drugs that only required applicants to prove that the drug was chemically and biologically the same as a previously approved drug. I wonder who did that, Sackler family, Pfizer. But the abbreviated application could only be used for generic versions of drugs that had been approved before 1962, when the law only required proof that a drug was safe and did not require proof that it was effective. Manufacturers of brand name drugs feared that their perpetual monopolies would come to an end if ANDA was used to approve all generic drugs, especially since the Federal Trade Commission had recommended that all states adopt laws mandating generic substitution on prescriptions written for branded medicines. To offset that possibility, they asked Congress for longer monopolies for newer drugs, and that is what we're looking at with the walking the monopoly dog. How they keep stretching those monopolies along, the patents and everything. By 1979, legislation had introduced to extend the life of pharmaceutical patents by up to 7 years. The pharmaceutical industry argued that patents claiming a new drug were entitled to a longer life to compensate for the time lost obtaining FDA approval before a new drug could be sold. There was no legal basis for that claim. A patent does not create an affirmative right to sell a patented product at all, let alone for the life of the patent. It only grants the right to exclude others from doing so. Whether a patented product is ever sold, for how long, and under whatever circumstances, it is governed by a host of commercial factors, including laws that protect the health and safety of consumers by limiting or barring the sale of dangerous products. In some industries, like electronics, the pace of innovation is so rapid that a patented product may be obsolete by the time patent is granted. Before anybody goes off, I'm going off first. I saw this in corporate law all the time. I'm going to bet it's precisely the same in the pharmaceutical industry. When a company sees something coming along, they have scouts out there looking for shit. I make widget X, and I've got a patent on widget X. Somebody else comes up with something really similar to widget X. They've got widget Y. I'm going to go in and I'm going to buy their patent. I'm going to buy their patent and then I'm going to kill it. That product will never, ever, ever see the fucking light of day.
Yeah, that's fucked
because
up.
I own the patent.
I never heard of that. We heard of old drugs that were effective being discontinued and no longer manufactured, but I never heard of anybody buying a patent to anything. I heard pay to play, paying to get your approval, blah, 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 but I never heard of like buying a patent.
Patent killers. Yeah, I saw it all the time in corporate law.
And here's the thing is, where would this world be if we actually found the best patents and used them? Like, is it just a coincidence that all of the guys who came up with automobiles that ran on, like, I don't know, water died?
The Tucker car was excellent and had a headlight that turned when you turned. The headlight followed your turn. In the early 80s, there was a guy who found the replacement for the carburetor.
Yeah.
His patent was purchased. That patent was killed. That's one of the cases I'm talking about. Then that guy was he broke down on I-75 one night, and while he was changing his tire, he was killed, and the investigation never went anywhere. And then a couple of years later, the big three produced cars with no carburetors.
Evil hairless monkey shit. What are you going to do?
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporters Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.